Hi guys.
We are very pleased to meet you all again.
Let's get started.
Today we will show you the top 20 most effective decks for each class in Standard and Wild after the balance changes.
Balance changes have hit Hearthstone for the fourth time in the last 2 months. This time, the developers cracked down on another Demon Hunter card. Twin Slice's cost has risen from 0 to 1 mana, but at the same time, its damage has increased. Illidan seems to be indestructible. This image describes the current meta quite well.
Before we continue, we want to make an announcement. We were forced to transfer our polls to the community tab.
This tab has not only polls, but statistics and important Hearthstone news as well. In the future, we plan to improve this page with exclusive content. Please subscribe to the channel so as not to miss important updates.
By the way, don't miss our video on alternative Hearthstone monetization methods, and make your voice heard by voting. Many thanks to everyone who has already joined.
Now let's take a quick look at the percentages of popularity for each class in the meta. Over the past 3 weeks, little has changed. The Demon Hunter is still the most popular class in the game, although his popularity has dropped by 1%.
Hunter has also suffered losses. The presence of Mage and Druid has increased by almost 2%. The inhabitants of Azeroth stubbornly dislike Paladins despite the diversity and effectiveness of the class. Shaman and Warlock are still at the bottom.
Let's start with Warlock. It seems that no one can help him in the current meta. Gul'dan does not have a single effective archetype. The best option Warlock has is Quest Warlock. The deck is quite expensive, as it uses 6 legendary and 5 epic cards. Only 3 new cards are used here. Kalidan the Breaker is the most valuable of them, but can be replaced by other options. Quest Warlock makes use of both Life Tap and Plot Twist to complete the Supreme Archaeology quest, after which your hero power will draw cards and reduce their cost to 0. In the end, you'll use Alexstrasza, Malygos and Soulfire to kill your opponent.
In Wild, Cube Warlock is still your best option. Since we already talked about this deck in the last deck review, we want to show you another effective archetype, Discard Warlock. This is an aggressive archetype that tries to discard cards in exchange for early game tempo. This archetype has been given new life thanks to the new cards, Hand of Gul'dan and Nightshade Matron. In general, this is a strong deck with a win rate of more than 72%.
The main advantage of this deck is the cost, since the deck doesn't use legendary and epic cards at all. Discard Warlock is an effective budget deck that is available to everyone.
Next in line is Priest. Priest is one of the most popular classes in the game, but despite this, all of its archetypes have low efficiency. The most popular archetype at the moment is Galakrond Priest. This deck was introduced in the Descent of Dragons expansion. The deck only utilizes 4 cards from Ashes of Outland. The main advantage of Galakrond Priest is its incredible effectiveness against almost all warrior archetypes. In Wild mode, we still recommend using Reno Priest. This is one of the most dominant decks. We would like to show you a version with an Inspire package. This deck is very expensive, but at the same time, very fun. If you miss Nexus Champion Saraad, Confessor Palatris and Chameleos, this version is definitely for you.
In 8th place is a Shaman. Shaman players simply don't have a wide selection of archetypes. They are stuck with Galakrond, Highlander and Totem. Galakrond is the most popular, but the most effective is Totem Shaman.
This version is more budget than the one that we showed in the previous review. For this version, the only epic you'll need is 2 epic copies of Splitting Axe.
In the wild, we recommend you explore Big Shaman. This is perhaps the most unexpected archetype that we met on the ladder when testing other decks. This archetype is centered on cheating huge minions into play via Ancestor's Call, Muckmorpher, and Eureka. Your large minions are weak to silence and transform effects, therefore you should beware of Reno Priests. The deck is strong against aggressive decks, while still posing serious issues for many slower archetypes. The Wild format is still able to surprise us.
In 7th place is Rogue. Almost nothing has happened to this class. As before, you have a choice of several Galakrond archetypes, 1-turn kill and Highlander strategies.
This time we want to show you the stealth version of Galakrond. It performs great against Demon Hunter, Priest and Shaman. But at the same time, it is very weak against all versions of Druid. Only 2 new cards are used in the deck, one of which is Greyheart Sage. In the Wild, we recommend that you pay attention to Odd Rogue with a Pirate package. It excels at taking board control with its upgraded weapon hero power, and has strong 1-drops and big mid-game swings.
Let's talk a little about the Mage. The class is represented by a large number of diverse strategies, but not all of them are effective. Big Spell Mage looks promising, but Highlander is still the best choice. However, the deck has changed a bit. There are more new cards in it. The deck remains incredibly expensive, as it uses 9 legendary and 6 epic cards. Not every free-to-play player can afford such fun.
In wild mode, there has been no change. The Secret Mage is perhaps the most popular archetype. At different times, there are different builds of this deck. Interesting fact, this version has a win rate of 75% and costs 4 times less than Highlander Mage. Why spend more?
In 5th place is Druid. This class feels great, and has a large number of different strategies to choose from, most of which are quite effective. The main surprise of these balance changes is the resurrection of Dragon Druid. This is almost the same spell Druid to which Emerald Explorer was added. This version has become the most effective over the past week. This is a very budget option with an efficiency of over 57%. In Wild, we still recommend you use the Jade Armor Druid. This deck has been upgraded, but the strategy remains the same. Ysera Unleashed left the build, making the deck a little cheaper.
Next on the list is Warrior. Currently, the Warrior is the most diverse class with the largest number of strategies. Pirate Warrior is gradually rising in popularity and increasing in effectiveness. This is the best choice. This deck can dish out tons of damage and has a really strong curve. For this version you only need 1 legendary card and 2 epic ones. Pirate Warrior is a very serious threat in the wild. This deck has almost no flaws. Of course, this deck is more expensive than the standard version, but such a high win rate is worth it.
The Demon Hunter is in 3rd place.
It seems the developers were able to finally do a little damage to Illidan. Overall, Tempo Demon Hunter lost 2% of its effectiveness. But this deck remains one of the best choices in the game. By the way, Tempo is the only effective Demon Hunter archetype.
Unlike Standard, in Wild mode the Twin Slice change turned out to be a gift for Odd Demon Hunter. The archetype has become even more popular than before, and has the largest win rate. Blizzard, what were you thinking?
This deck costs very little compared to most other Wild mode decks. But at a low cost, it manages to terrorize classes with a huge arsenal of cards. This is just outrageous.
In 2nd place is the Paladin. Despite the fact that the class is almost always at the top, its popularity remains low. It was a mystery to us. Therefore, we tried to clarify this topic by creating a survey. Only a quarter of the players periodically use the Paladin, 23% think the class is not interesting, 37% of the players have too few cards. In the comments, the players revealed their motives. The legendary cards of the class have too narrow application, therefore crafting Paladin's cards is not rational.
It seems the players are right. Currently, in the standard we have 9 legendary class cards. If you look at them more closely, you will realize that almost all of them do not deserve your dust. Only Murga and Lady Liadrin have a popularity above 1%.
Let's get back to the current archetypes. Murloc Paladin is still the most effective, but we want to show you pure Paladin. Firstly, this deck is based on a huge number of new cards, so it is a fresh experience. Secondly, the deck uses only 2 legendary cards, and both are relevant.
According to our guide, Murga is one of the best cards in the set, a must-have for each collection. Lady Liadrin is more optional for the collection and will most likely work well only in the pure archetype. Despite this, it was the first card I crafted after collecting the statistics for our legendary guide. By the way, if you have any doubts which card should be crafted next, you should check out our useful guide.
And finally, the third argument, this archetype seems really fun to us. I believe that this strategy has a future, and will not disappear after the release of the next expansion.
In Wild, we noticed the return of Secret Paladin. This version has been heavily redesigned, but the main strategy has not changed. The deck is very fast and aggressive. In addition, right now the archetype is not very widespread, so you will be able to surprise your opponent.
And finally, in first place is Hunter. Again, this class is the most effective in the game. It has 4 archetypes, 3 of which show really great results. Over the past few days, the influence of Highlander Hunter has increased significantly.
We have nothing new to say about this deck. The archetype appeared almost a year ago, and since then it has remained one of the most important in the game. The archetype looks strong enough in Wild. The deck is really effective, but I don't think this strategy is very fun or interesting.
According to our data, cards from Ashes of Outland continue to lose influence in the meta, but this is still the second most important set. Despite the large number of nerfs, the changes in the metagame remain too insignificant. We are very pleased with the large number of effective decks that are available to most players.
Despite this, we definitely need more significant changes. The old set buff, the release of a new card, the return of some cards from Wild, or the release of a mini set. All these things are cool.
By the way, the fun concept of a new mini set has already appeared on Reddit.
It is not right to call Ashes of Outland a failure, but at the same time it did not live up to all of our expectations. Therefore, I was forced to flee to the wild for a while.
What do you think? What grade do you give the current meta? Please, go to the community tab to vote.
In our opinion, the period after the release of Rise of Shadows was more interesting, although right now we have much more cards than a year ago.
Finally, we want to express our appreciation to all our sponsors. Guys, your help is very important to us.
Thank you very much for your support.
Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for being with us.
And special thanks to Chris for text editing.
We will meet in new videos.
Good luck.